This episode is so good. It's like, oh my god, Andrew had just gotten out of the shower and he could just hear me like busting up. Like I was just laughing so hard.
Yeah, I think this is your episode because this is focused on Jim, and Jim
Yeah.
is your favorite character.
Yeah, Jim is definitely my favorite character.
Yeah.
I love Ed, I love Steed, but Jim is just like I'm obsessed with them. And I also just like appreciate so much like throughout this entire episode how much they are dedicated to their pronouns. They're so good about their pronouns. Like everybody calls them they them and
Well,
like
I don't feel like Jim really does anything. Everyone just sort of adapts their pronouns just without acknowledge. No, acknowledgement isn't the right word, but
no, it's like everybody gets it.
yeah.
And that's how it should be. And for some reason it just like warms my heart so much. Anyways, that's my first takeaway from this episode is just like how
Yeah.
everybody is about their pronouns and it just made me really happy.
It's a really cool episode, and there's so many jokes, and
Oh my god. So many good jokes.
I just kept having to pause to write it down. And you saw my notes. There
Oh
are a
yeah.
lot of notes.
No, that's why I was like, you know what, it's okay. I'm just gonna sit back and like watch. And you know, the cool thing about just sitting back and watching is that I don't know if I noticed certain things that I would have like the last time I watched, because I've only watched this series once, right? So these episodes I'm watching for the first time.
Yeah.
Well, the second time for the first time again.
Yeah. Yeah. Your first rewatch.
My first rewatch, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was super fun. Just the way that it starts out. So this episode is called What is Happening?
Is it?
Yeah.
Sorry, I got confused for a second there because I was like, wait, really? Is it
Yeah.
really?
I'm pretty sure it's called What is Happening. You had posted on our story the initial beginning of this episode, and it's one of my favorite beginning episodes ever.
Oh yeah. No, I that's why I picked that moment because you also drew that one and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, River gets it.
It's so
So
cute.
yes, it's very lovely. Should we just start to talk about that then?
Yeah, let's hop in. Episode 7 or 8?
Episode 7, This is Happening. That's what
This
it's called.
This is happening.
Yep.
Oh yeah, because of Lucius. Never mind.
Yes.
Okay. It's not
Yes.
what is happening. This is happening. All right. Sorry guys. Sorry guys.
What I wrote down is starting with River's favorite moment: a dollop of milk and 7 sugars. Wouldn't be the same with 6.
Oh my gosh. So it's Ed, he's staring out into the beautiful, like, I don't know, just like how gorgeous it is on the
Staring
water.
into the distance.
Yeah, and I think like it's really cute too cuz like you can tell he's just contemplating things, like he doesn't really like he just seems like he's very
He's
in his
not
head.
there.
Yeah, like
Mentally.
yeah, he's like in his head. And then Ed comes over, or sorry, Steed comes over with his tea. And it's just
Yeah.
like such a cute. There's so many like little moments with just the two of them in frame, and it's so perfect.
Mm-hmm.
So that was definitely one of mine. And then I forget what happens. I think
Frenchie comes up and he's like, "Oh, Captain!" And they both look up
no, I
and they're
think
like,
it's
"Yes."
Roach. I think it's Roach that comes up. I just remember because Roach is the one that makes food, right?
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure you're right. Yeah. So Roach comes up and he's like, "Oh, Captain!" And then they both look up. They're both like, "Oh no, I shouldn't. Like, you go." And Ed's like, "No, this is your ship. You're the captain. You should go."
That's so cute.
So yeah, they're out of oranges, and the Swede has scurvy.
Yeah, and he's like, what does this matter? Like, eat apples. He's like, yeah, but you know, we gotta treat the scurvy. And he's like, who has scurvy? And then the Swede's just like, has anybody else's teeth fallen out? He keeps talking about his teeth and his nails, like throughout the entire episode. He's just like,
Yeah.
anyone else? And he's like, I'm pretty. No, I'll save that later. Sorry, it's a good moment. I'll save it later.
Okay. Alright, so yeah, that is definitely happening, and so they are walking to the brig. No, not the brig. Sorry, they go to the kitchen and they're looking into the fat, the thing, and Roach like, yeah, look, all the oranges are gone, and Steed is like, oh, it was because Steed was super pressed on having a cake, with a 40 orange glaze.
Oh my god.
And then with an extra 10 oranges for the cake itself.
Goodness. So
And then
extra.
so they're mad at him about it because he's so it's not dainty, but he's so extra with his food and stuff.
Yeah.
And then he's like, the cake barely tasted like oranges. And then you see Roach just gasp in disgust.
I love it. I love
Yes.
that a character called Roach is in control of the kitchen.
Yeah. I
Like
think
that
it's very ironic.
it is. I think like they're so smart about it. Like the way it's just so funny. All right, anyways.
Yeah. And you see the Swede sitting with everyone else at the kitchen table, and Frenchie just scoots away from him. He's like, don't touch me, don't. And I was just like, oh, this is very relatable for whenever anyone invades my personal space.
Yeah. I love that. That's hilarious.
He almost sits on Wee John's lap to get away from the Swede.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't breathe on me.
They're all like scared that they're gonna get it.
Yeah, they're really grossed out by the Swede because it's scurvy.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you know what scurvy is?
It's an illness that happens a lot with seafaring men because they don't eat vitamin C,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why it happens. I don't know the details of scurvy, but shit happens to your
Immune system.
body, and
Yeah.
basically you can die of it. So
Yeah.
it's quite serious thing. So you can generally avoid it by eating vitamin C.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. You're so smart. They are now on a mission to find oranges. Like that's the gist of where we're going. And I forget where they dock, but
They dock near St. Augustine.
there we go. Yeah. Yeah, and Jim is not having it. Jim is like,
No.
"Nope, I don't want to go anywhere. This is not." And then Oluwande is like, "Hey, you grew up here. Like, you should be the one to like lead us to oranges." And Jim's just like, "No, fuck you. Like, I don't want
Yeah.
any part of this." And you
And
can
they're like,
tell,
St. Augustine is boring and the humidity will do stuff to your hair. And the
yeah.
steed is in the background like, I'll wear a hat. Which later on he actually does.
No, it's a fashion moment for Steed
Yeah.
for sure. It's like he's planning his outfit in advance.
Yeah. And this is the point where the Swede's nails are falling out.
Oh yeah, his nails. Yeah, and he's like, "Is anybody else's nails falling off?" Like it's
Yeah, and
just
then
so
everyone is just like, ew.
it's so funny. So they make this effort to go off and do it, and then Steed goes off with someone, and then he goes off with Lucius,
Yeah.
and then he comes back with a treasure map.
Yeah.
But what happens before that? Because I
At
didn't
first
write
you
it down.
have a little bit of Jim's backstory.
Oh
And
yeah.
then you also see Oluwande's Crocs.
Oh, the other thing is Steed when he's talking about having to go and get go and get oranges, he uses the term and now we got to go grocery shopping, and I'm like, that's not the term that you would use back then, but it was just
Well, no, but so much that I say isn't something
but that's
they
what I
would-
mean. Like you see Oluwande's Crocs, and then he
Yeah.
says grocery shopping, and it's just like this is the best. I just love that they give no shits.
Yes. And so Steed climbs over the railing and he's like, jackpot!
Yeah.
Lucius, tell them what I've got. And then Lucius just very annoyedly says, it's a treasure map.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's not having it.
He just doesn't care, and he's like, "Yeah, well, this lady, she wasn't gonna give it to me, but then I had to bargain with her." And he's like going off on like all this stuff that he did, and Lucius is like, "Yeah, I gave her a lot of money, more money than I've ever seen in my life." Like really annoyed. Also, in this episode, like you said, you get a little snippet of Jim's background, and so while they're sitting there, Jim's thinking about when they were younger, and like you kind of just see a stab. It's like a close up of someone getting stabbed. And then you see Jim as a wee lad. And they find their family dagger, right? The one that says, forget what it says. This says their last name.
Jimenez. Steed is going on the treasure hunt. And to Lucius, he's like, go fetch the shovel, the nice one. So this will say like that he has more shovels on the
Yeah.
ship?
Yeah, I love that. I don't know exactly what happens, but there's this whole thing where, like, he's trying to explain the treasure map to Ed, and Ed is, like, also just like, "It's fake." Like, they're both just going back and forth about how, like, Lucius and Ed are talking
Yeah.
about how it's fake. And Ed's like, "Well, here, listen to me." He's like, "If it was real, why would she sell it to you? Why wouldn't she just go off and do like find the treasure on her own?" And
Yeah.
Lucius is like, "Oh,
Oh,
asking
good
the."
question. Love that.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, "Yeah, dig deep, like, you show Steed."
Yes,
But
his comments in that scene are brilliant.
yeah, but Steed's just like, "No, we're having a day after I get changed."
Yes. Very important. On deck, there's also a fashion moment that I wanted to note. Pete is wearing a horseshoe as a belt.
I didn't even see that. Oh, Black
Yeah,
Pete. He's the best.
I needed to mention that. So we are a bit chaotic in the scenes, but that doesn't matter.
It's because I
Yeah.
didn't take notes and I'm being ridiculous. But I think that
No,
happens. I think when you're talking about a show, I think it's like impossible not to like talk about one thing before another thing and
very
then
true.
yeah.
Very true. Yes. One thing that I did want to add was that Olu one day is like, oh, I think Jim should do it, seeing as they're from here to fetch the oranges. And Jim's like, I never said that. And Olu is like, yeah, you don't say a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this is very like this episode really digs deep into their friendship.
Friendship
Question mark?
question mark? Yes.
Yeah, I think that statement says a lot about Jim too. Like, okay, so the last episode Jim wasn't even around. So
Oh no, that's because we recorded the fifth episode
oh, you
after
would
the sixth
remember.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the sixth one, they're gutting some dummy and they're pulling out all the intestines for the fuckery.
That was such a good episode. But yeah,
Yeah.
just the fact that like Jim is very secretive and like not willing to like tell anybody anything. Like they have like a very troubled past.
Yes. No, exactly. And the sweet's heart gets broken when Roach says that his teeth don't grow back in. He's
Yeah.
like, the teeth don't go back in.
Yeah, because he's like, "Oh, I have a little baggie where I'm putting all of my teeth that have fell out so I can put them back in." And Roach is like,
Yes.
"No, buddy, that's not what's gonna happen." And he's like,
It's not.
"No."
And then someone's like, go for a run, sweet. And then he just runs off.
Yeah, that's Olu. He's like, just go
Yeah.
for a run."
And Lucius, so this is the scene where they talk about the treasure map. And oh no, wait, maybe it's Ed. Anyway, someone says people just don't bury treasure. It's not done.
Yeah,
Which I love that.
yeah,
And then Ed is just over it and he's going to take a nap.
I love
And then
that.
Steve is going to change his
I-
outfit.
Yeah,
He's like, fuck this, I'm going.
I just love that. We're having a day after I get changed.
Yes.
So cute.
Yeah. And then they're walking around on the island, and so one storyline is going for the oranges and the other is
The
looking for
treasure
the
map.
treasure because I mean,
Yeah,
what's more important than treating scurvy?
right. Yeah. So they have like so Ed, Steed, and Lucius they're all off to do this thing just for Steed because Steed is he just wants to do this.
Yeah.
And
His
then
mind's is set on it, so I
uh,
mean, what
yeah,
else can you
exactly.
do?
So then we see Jim, Olu, and the rest of the gang are walking, and Olu one day says something like, I forget exactly, but he's like,
Yeah, he said that he didn't know that Jim was from here, and Jim was like, "Okay, well, I must have told you, right?" And he's like, "No, you didn't, because you're weirdly and freakishly secretive, Jim."
Yeah.
Jim's like, "No, I'm not. I'm normal secretive."
He's like, I don't know anything about you. And he's like, I don't even know what your favorite color is.
Yeah,
And then Jim goes, teal. My favorite color is teal. And then Olu goes, who are you?
yeah. And I've seen people speculate about why Jim's favorite color is teal. Oluwande is wearing a teal earring, and people
Aww.
are like, maybe this is why they do.
I also think that the actor,
Fico Ortiz?
yeah, I think the actor's favorite color is teal. as well.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
I think, or maybe it's just a color they like because their hair is teal.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's
Can you
that's.
imagine that Jim's hair would be teal?
I would love it.
Yes.
I
I
would
don't
love
think
it.
they can,
No,
but
I don't think
it's
they would, but it would be cool if they could just like somehow fit, like put it in there in some way.
yeah.
Anyways,
Maybe dip the hair in the ocean for long enough that it will develop the color of the ocean.
or they just don't mention it at all, like they do everything else. Oh, you dyed your hair,
I wouldn't
Jim.
put it
Oh
past
yeah,
them. No.
cool. It's a cool color. How'd you do it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Wasn't your hair always teal? Yeah, it's always teal. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So Black Pete ends up finding oranges while Olu and Jim are talking, and then Jim is
Oh,
like,
yes.
"Stay away from those. They're off limits." And he's like, "Why? Because they're Christ oranges."
He's so cocky.
Yeah,
And then the orange gets stabbed by the nun.
yeah. And she goes, "See." Oh God, what else
Yeah,
does she
what does
say?
she say?
And then she says something else, but I forget. But then Frenchie goes, "Oh, that was like really badass. That was incredibly badass for a nun."
For a nun.
Okay,
Yeah, and then we John is like, don't kill us, sister. We're in the tribe. And then they make the cross, and then he motions for Frenchie to do it as well. But then he just very poorly executes it. And that's my favorite thing.
I didn't even notice that.
You
That's
did
so
it!
good.
Oh no,
I'd have to go back and watch
I
it.
need to send you a gif of it.
It's so
GIF?
that's
I
a
don't know.
GIF. A GIF. It doesn't matter to me.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. I'm trying
Yeah.
to look up the actress that plays the nun because she plays in Orange Is the New Black.
Yes, yes, exactly. She
She's
does.
so funny. I'm so glad I didn't know you watched that too.
Oh yes,
Selena,
I did. I watched the whole thing.
she's such a good actress, but like I love her in this episode. She's so like well, we'll get into it, but yeah. So as soon as I saw her, I was like, "Oh my god, she's from Orange Is the New Black."
I can't believe that you didn't see it.
I was bumming his house right.
It's so good in it.
He just is like,
He's very lazily doing it.
Oh
Oh,
my
can you
gosh.
post? I don't think you can put GIFs on Instagram. So, guys, go to Twitter where we will post this GIF
Yeah,
so
we
you
can
can see it as well.
yeah, we can also post it on our story though. When we post this. We can post it on our story at least.
Yeah.
I know how to do that. Pretty sure.
Oh, sick. It's funny when Olu one day finds out
Oh
that
yeah,
it's
it's her.
the grandma of Jim, and he's like, "Oh, coming, Nana, I'm coming for some cake." And Jim is like, "Oh no, please kill me."
It's my favorite. Come on, Nana.
Yes,
Coming for some cake, Nana.
it's your nan.
That's Shannon. That's incredible. This is amazing. This is fascinating. Like it's
Yeah,
so
he's so desperate to find out more about Jim's life.
yeah, I love that too because you can really tell like how much Olu cares about Jim in this
Yes.
episode.
And then we go back to the treasure hunt, and Blackbeard is hiding his face because he doesn't want to be spotted treasure hunting. And then he immediately gets
He is.
recognized.
Hey, Blackbeard, are you going on a treasure hunt?
He's like,
Blackbeard,
fuck you, man! You didn't see me.
just shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up. And like Blackbeard is just like super like frustrated this whole time. Also, this is a fashion moment for Steed because he comes out in his treasure hunt like his like safari suit, I want to say. He looks like it's like Crocodile Dundee but fashion.
It reminded me of Indiana Jones.
Yeah, but even no, yes, but also like it's hoity-toity. Hoity-toity. You know what I mean? Like it was a little bit too fancy for
Yeah.
Indiana Jones. Like
Mhm.
he has this cute little hat. We need to post a picture of like just the outfits in this episode.
He meant to look like he is going to go through dungeons and do things.
He looks like he's about to have a tea party in the middle of it. He's like, "We're gonna encounter dragons." Hell yeah! but then he just looks like
Dragon.
he's gonna have like a tea party in the middle of like the forest.
Yes, which he actually goes on doing.
Yes.
So, I mean, who wins here?
So like Blackbeard is my favorite Blackbeard moment. Lucius is like, "Oh, you're always so uptight, man." Like, cuz that's what Steve said. He's like, "You need to relax. Like, this is supposed to be fun." Like, and he's like, "Tell him, Lucius." And Lucius is like, "Yeah, you're always kind of like, a little intense." He's like,
Yeah.
"No, I'm not. Look, I'm relaxed." And he like leans up against a tree and he's like, "Look at me. I am relaxed." And then a fucking snake falls on him and he's like, he grabs the snake and he just starts beating it on the ground. He's like, "Fucking fuck you, fuck nature, fucking nature."
Fuck you. Yeah. I low-key feel very bad for the snake, though.
No, I do too, but at the same time, the other thing, oh my gosh, the other thing that happens before that is Steed finds a moth. And I didn't see
Yes.
that the first time. He finds a silk moth, which is like the kind that I raised. And
Oh, yeah.
so it's like super tiny, and he's just like, "Look, I found
Yeah.
a moth." And my heart was just like, "You guys are such assholes. Just say that you like it." If I was there, I'd be like, "Oh my god, a moth. Let me see."
Yeah. And Lucius just swallows a mosquito.
Fucking bugs.
Yeah.
Fucking bugs.
We should do a whole episode about your special interest, the moths.
Yeah, we should, but it was just cool to see like a moth in an episode and that I didn't catch it before. It was just really cute.
Yeah, I can imagine it must have been very exciting.
Yeah, it's like this whole show is like your special interest, right? And then I get like a little glimpse of mine. Not that I don't love pirates, I do. But they're not like something I know a whole lot about. Like so much about pirates.
Well, okay, yeah, maybe.
I'm like, don't kid yourself,
Not me reading Blackbeard's Wikipedia for fun.
I'm gonna let the dog out real quick.
Wat ga je doen? Oh, ja. Een river is taking out the dog. Cass? Cass gaat weg. Ze mag niet meer blijven. Oh nee, hij mag niet blijven. En River komt weer terug en heeft een super vet shirt aan.
We do the rest of the episode just in Dutch.
Yeah, that was a little Dutch interlude. Jim and Olu and Nana are sitting around the table. And Nana's just talking about a lot of shit. And she's talking about how Jim once bit a priest's finger off. Just casually bringing it up. And then Nana's like, "Oh, I don't remember how he died though." "Oh wait, I do." And then she just burst out laughing.
Yeah.
And she laughs and laughs, and then she's like, "He was crushed by a tree."
And Olu's just like, "Oh, real dark humor over here, huh?"
And then she keeps laughing, and then immediately serious. She's like, "Life is pain." Like, so brilliant.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's just the comedy is just so good, like perfectly timed.
Yeah, and then the rest of the crew is fixing Nana's wall to get paid by the oranges.
She's
And
like, they're
she's
like,
"Oh, those idiots."
and then Nana's like, "Yeah, who else would agree to be paid with oranges or something like that?"
Yes. It's very fun. And then she starts talking in Spanish to Jim, like, "Is he our husband?"
She's like, "Is he your husband, or are you guys living in sin?"
Oh yeah, yes.
And then when she finds out that he can speak Spanish, she's all proud, and she said, I forget what she says.
"Oh,
like,
muy bien.
muy bien. Yeah. Like,
Muy bien."
she's like touching his arm, like, "Ooh, you know Spanish." Like, welcome to the family, basically.
Yes. This is also in the mosquito moment and the moth moment. And Lucius is like, "And who thought treasure maps are useless?" And then he's like, "Oh, I wasn't being sarcastic. That's just how I talk." Because apparently that sounded sarcastic. Then they are eating the snake, which I was glad that the snake didn't die in vain.
That's exactly how I felt about it at the end. But like, we're both like animal people. Like, I know it's like all in the good fun and like it's just having a moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but in real life, please don't hurt animals.
Yes. Don't be
Um
like Blackbeard. Like in general.
But yeah, so they're sitting around and they're all having fun, and like Steed is like very happy to just be like hanging out. And this, I didn't get any notes on this because I was just like immersed, but we really have to
Yes.
like, maybe if we can get the audio of them
I
talking
wanted
about.
to say that too. I was like, we need to insert this whole bit because
Yeah.
it's brilliant.
And
It's
then the
so
whole time
good.
like Lucius is just staring at them like,
Because they're talking about Blackbeard's Bar and Grill and delights and other delicacies.
yeah. He was like, "Ooh, the texture of this snake is so good. Like, you should be a chef." And he's like, "Maybe I will. I can do anything."
Yes. And then they're talking about the angry customers, and Blackbeard just is already being upset about it while they don't even exist. And I just thought that was so neurodivergent. Like you just overthink it before you even start, and you just
Yeah.
get overwhelmed and don't do it.
I'd come to your restaurant.
You might not get him. It's going to be very popular.
You'd save me a seat, wouldn't you?
Maybe. She won't be a dick. What night do you want to come?
Saturday night.
It's a busy night.
I'll come on the Monday.
Well, I can probably get you what's called Blackbeard's Bar and Grill and other delicacies and
Really?
delights and fishing equipment.
Yeah, but who wants to go to dinner and then walk past all this fishing gear that you could buy? Maybe a gift shop out the back. Then you could say, oh, hope you enjoyed your meal. Have you seen the gift shop?
What do they say?
Oh, no, thank God. Just come for a nice meal.
Now they're angry.
No.
They're going to leave a bad review.
Another guy from the other side of the room might go, oh, I'm into gifts. I'll go and have a look.
Oh, yeah, well, that's the guy I'm after. I want him to come. Who's he?
That's me.
Oh,
Did you know that whole thing was improvised?
I did not, but oh my god, that makes me love them so much
Yeah,
more.
they just let them do their thing, and so this happened.
And then right after that, Steed notices something in Blackbeard's beard, and
Yes.
this is when Lucius is like,
He's staring intensely.
and then he's like, "Oh my god,
This is happening.
oh, God, this is happening.
What?
it's so cute."
He's every one of us. You also have a meme with Lucius at that moment with the live Lucius reaction.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
Yeah,
Lucius
it's
is such a
really
mood
fun.
in this whole episode.
Well, he is in every episode, and
Yeah,
everyone is in every episode.
I know, they're all my favorites.
We're not good at this. We are just like, oh, we love everyone. Then we have more gym backgrounds about catching mice and how they have to be stealthy to catch their prey and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So at one point they get so good at knife throwing that they can just they
Like
just
from the
throw the
back.
knife and then catch a fly.
Yep, it
Which I
was.
mean, like, oh man,
It's
so
like
many
Buffy
props.
status. It's like Buffy status. They're like skinning an animal, and then
Oh
they
yeah,
hear a buzz, and then they like. And it reminds me of this moment in Buffy the Vampire Slayer where she's in Skinner's office, and there's a fly flying around, and then she has like one of those like tacks in her mouth, and she just spits it, and it hits right into the
oh
fly.
really?
Yeah, so
Wow.
just like immediately was just like, man, that's so badass. I want to be like that.
Yeah, Nana, she's talking about the revenge that Jim has to have on the people that killed their family.
Yeah,
And Nana's very passionately. And do you want to do Nana or Jim?
I feel like I'd be better as Jim.
All right, let's go.
Revenge
Revenge
for the
for the bloodline.
bloodline,
Revenge
revenge
for the
for the
meek.
meek,
God's divine
divine revenge.
revenge.
Jim is just so like over Nana. It's like, ah, man, I don't want to do this.
They've heard it so much already, probably,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, I'm so over this," and it's so fun. And then Nana's super psychotic, and she wants to know all the murderous details that Jim murdered all the people, but they didn't. They only killed one.
Yeah, I love how like Nana's like asking like, "Did you get the revenge? Did you kill them all?" And then Jim's just like, "Yeah, oodles and oodles of revenge."
Yes. And when Nana hears that it's only been one, then she's very disappointed. She's kind of like telling Jim off, I guess, and
Yeah.
Jim gets mad and walks away. And then
Yeah.
Olu's just like, I'm gonna try and undo some damage from that interaction.
I love that line because it just like he's like acknowledging that like this was really toxic and Nana or whatever was
Yeah.
being kind of a bee. Like,
Yes.
he's like, I like you, but
That moment was not it.
yeah, exactly.
We go back to Ed moping about Steed's whole treasure thing. He's like, oh, I'm so fucking over this. Can we go back to the fucking ship, please?
Yeah.
And then Lucius is like, well, you don't have to be a dick about it.
I know.
So
This is such a Lucius like, yes, please. Like this was such a good moment for Lucius. Like he stood up to
yes,
Blackbeard.
Ed looks back at him very murderously. He's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I dare you to say it again.
Yeah, and he does.
And he does. He's like,
yeah.
I said don't be a dick.
He's like, I don't know why, but that strange little man over there is doing this all for you, and
Yeah.
you've just been a complete dick about it all day long. He's just trying to have a good time with you. He did this whole thing for you.
You can stab me in the face now.
Yeah, basically he just like tells Blackbeard off, and
Yes.
and then he's like, yeah, you can stab me in the face now. Well, we have to go back though because Steed is upset because while they were eating the snake and they're having a good time, a little tiny piece of ash from the fire got onto
Yes,
the
it fell
treasure
down
map,
on and so
and
it burned away.
a lot of it. And
Yes.
so Steed is like, no, I can fix it. And then Lucius and Ed have that little moment, and then Ed realizes that he's being a dickwad. And so
Yeah.
he goes over and he's like, no, see, we can fix this, and we can use this tiny little, like, that looks like a tree and like a river.
Yeah, most of the map was just empty space anyway.
Yeah. And I just love how like Lucius is like, yeah, look, that's a clear as day. Yeah, clear as day.
Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
And it's so funny because Ed walks over and then he ushers Lucius to come with him very
Yeah.
meanly. He's like very aggressively.
You get your ass over here.
Yes. He's like, oh, so you think we should just go carry on? And it's like, we didn't come all this way to not dig something up.
Right, yeah. And I love that like I know it's like treating him like a kid, but like he just wants to have this adventure and to have a good time with his friends. Like that's what this is about.
Oh, I
And-
didn't feel like they were treating him like a kid at all.
I think in a way at this point, like they were, because it's a treasure map. Like it's like not like in a bad negative sense at all, but just like
Mhm.
letting him have his fun, letting him have his moment.
Yeah.
And instead of like making fun of him the entire time, they're like, okay, let's play along,
Let's do this.
Yeah.
And then you see Ed just staring at Steed lovingly. And Lucius notices and he's like, mm-hmm.
And he's like, don't say anything or I will stab you in the face. Next scene.
Yeah, and then we go to Jim standing all by themselves in a large field. And Olu one day finds them and he's like, oh, here you are. And Jim is all surprised that he found them.
Yeah.
And Jim is like, I've seen you get lost in the ship sometimes.
Aww.
And I didn't notice that on the first watch, and I thought that was a very fun thing to say.
Yeah.
I also wonder what happened to Jim's sibling, because
Yeah.
I don't think that we have seen that
No.
anything about it, so I wonder if maybe in season 2?
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe in season 2 because there's also a moment where they're describing like what happened to their family when they come up to where Jim's land used to be.
Yeah.
And then they have another flashback and you see that the father was killed by the one man that Jim killed in the very beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jim tells Olu that like they blacked out and
Yeah.
they came to in a forest like far away.
I thought
And-
blocked out.
It could be both, but basically whatever
Anyways.
it's tomato, it's the same.
Tomato.
Yeah.
Tornado.
Basically I think it was just like too traumatic for them to remember.
Yeah.
Also, I wonder, like I'm kind of wondering if maybe during that whole scene, what if Jim murdered other men and just didn't remember? You know what I mean? As a child.
Interesting.
I don't know, but we don't know what happens to their sibling. We know that Jim had like a brother of some kind and probably a mom inside. So
Maybe we will find out later in the second season. Which will
Hopefully.
come this summer. And I'm so excited.
Me too. I'm
Hell
so
yeah.
excited. I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
Yay.
I know. I want this. Oh yeah.
Oluwande tells Jim that they're surprisingly well adjusted for an orphan raised by a nun to be a killing machine.
And this is when they kind of have a moment, right?
Yeah, he's like, if you wanted, I could be family. Which is so sweet. So
Yeah.
sweet, and then they nearly kiss. But Steed stomps in and he's like, "Oh, this is the tree!" And so that kind of ruins
Kill-
the moment.
Yeah, it kills the moment for them. But it was so sweet. They were like, just about to kiss. And then Steed comes in.
Jim and Oluwande are walking up and they are kind of like, what is happening here? And then Ed hops towards Jim. That hop is so iconic. And he's like, we're just letting him dig for a bit and getting it out of the system.
Yeah, so that's what I mean by they're treating him kind of like a kid. Like,
Okay. And this whole scene is so funny too because they're all just kind of standing around and
watching
Steed
him
is
digging.
digging. Yes, and he's like, "Oh, I found something. What could it be?" And everyone is just basically kind of like a rock.
A rock.
It's a rock, probably.
Probably a rock.
Yes. And he asks Lucius to help, so Lucius agrees reluctantly, and he's like, "Well, I'm the only one with a wooden finger, but like, okay, sure." And then immediately she's like, "Too late! I found it!" And so Lucius steps away really quickly.
He's like, all right. I didn't want to anyways.
Yes. And then there's a long silence, and Steve's like, "I think it's a rock," and so everyone's like, "Yep, of course it is."
Yeah, and then Ed takes the rock from him and uses water to like clean it off.
Yes.
Steve's basically like, oh well, and then Ed goes, yeah, this is usually how these things end anyways,
Yeah.
like no big deal. But then they realize it's a petrified
Orange. Lucius like, well, I guess the real treasure was our days spent together, and am I right? And he looks very pointedly at Ed and Steed. And Steed sighs, he's like, Lucius, we spent every day together. The treasure is the real treasure. Like, get your head out of your ass.
He's just so disappointed.
Yeah.
Until they find out that it's a petrified orange, and then Steed's like super excited about it, and then he's like, oh well, you should have it, and he like tosses it to Jim, and then Jim's just like, no, you can have finders keepers, and then Steed is just like, yeah, good, I didn't want to give it to you anyway.
Yes, and Ed looks at him in disbelief. He's like, are you fucking kidding me?
And then he's like, this is my new favorite thing.
Yes, it's the perfect paperweight.
Yeah, they're back at like the boat of the ship, whatever, and they're having whiskey, I think.
Ooh, I don't know.
They're having alcohol. They're drinking together.
Alcohol.
They're doing the alcohol thing where they drink and they celebrate, and then they talk about how, Steve's basically like, I was thinking like maybe we don't have to have just one captain.
Yeah, I suppose if you found the absolutely two perfect people, then they could potentially. And then they're together, they're like, co-captain. Oh, we said the same thing.
At the same time. Cheers. Yeah, they're just so cute. And then so that ends on a happy note. And then
we also see that the crew is finally done building the wall, and they receive a bunch of oranges. So many oranges. They have these sacks full of them.
Yeah, and before this, I forgot to mention that Jim decides that they want to stay because their Nana's right. And they're like, oh, I need to kill these men that murdered my family. Like, they're right. So they go on their separate ways. And then after the crew gets the oranges, Olu looks at Nana and she's like, oh, well, where's
Bonifacia?
And he's like, gone,
Yeah.
It's a sad moment.
La vida es dolor. Life is pain.
And then we hear Izzy Just
he
bitching.
is just bitching about Ed, going on and on about it. It's like, oh, and you have such great taste and your beard and all your clothes is so cool and Spanish Jackie is sitting there like, oh, can you be done already?
Yeah. He just sounds like a really like annoying ex-girlfriend that's just
Yes.
mad that the new girlfriend is like cute. You know?
Yeah, and then Bald Badminton enters the stage.
Nigel and Nigel's brother.
So he's like, so you're Spanish Jackie? Yeah? Are you Spanish? No. So why do they call you Spanish Jackie? I don't know.
That's so good.
It's so funny. They go on about why
each one of them wants to kill Steed.
yes.
And so Spanish Jackie is just like, one of his crewmates killed my favorite husband.
Yes.
And then my favorite is what Izzy says. He's like, he messes with my boss's mind.
Yes. And then Badminton is just like, I didn't follow any of that.
Yeah, I love that. Well, because I think it's first what Spanish Jackie says, because they go on about it. There's like a whole thing. Well, they broke my my jar of noses, and then he's I didn't follow any of that.
He's like, what? Sure, I guess. And then they reveal Frenchie's flag, and Spanish Jackie's like, is that a fucking cat?
But that flag looks so badass with the cat and all the blood on it.
And the blood, yes.
Yeah,
it's so
I'm
good.
like, oh man, that's so cool. I kind of want like a flag like that, just like to have in my room.
Yes, just art and craft it.
Yeah,
like they did.
I would love that. I should probably just like buy the materials and do it.
Mm.
And then he's like, he killed my brother or something like that. And then that was the end of it.
Yep.
Yay!
Yep. A whole lot of revenge. Yeah.
At this point, I was like, oh shit, they come back. Like, I almost totally forgot about them. There's so much going on with the crew and the storyline.
Did you forget Jussie?
No, I forgot about that they were plotting against them.
Oh, yeah.
Having so much fun watching the crew that you forget that there's like this nefarious thing that's happening on the side.
Yeah, and also there happens a lot, so it's not weird that you forgot shit.
Yeah, there's just so much happening. And like the best thing about this episode is that it kind of brings everything full circle.
Mm-hmm.
And you are left thinking like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen? So yeah, I'm excited for the next one. Are you excited for the next one?
I'm very excited for the next one.
All right, guys, that has been the episode 7.
It's been good fun.
This is happening. I think the next one is that iconic moment with the feet.
Oh, Calico Jack comes.
Oh yeah, that annoying guy.
It just reminds me of there's this meme. In Black Sails there's also Calico Jack, and he's very cool and very fun. And so this meme, there's this dude says, baby boy, baby. And so that's the picture of Calico Jack in Black Sails. And then you see the picture of Calico Jack in Our Flag Means Death, and he's just saying evil. And I agree wholeheartedly, because Our Flag Means Death Jack is rubbish and Black Sails Jack is brilliant.
Oh, I love that. I need to still watch Black Sails. I've been needing a new like drama show.
Oh, well then that's perfect then.
Yeah. Well, y'all.
Thanks so much for listening. I'm sorry.
I think we're just too tired. We're both too tired. I'm morning tired. You're night tired.
Thank you for hanging out with us. Keep your weather eye on the horizon, and we will see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.